Let's talk about Everton inevitably, shall we? Sean Dyche about to take over as new manager. Victor Gyökeres apparently is his first transfer target for £18 million. Wow. But Sue Smith, is it an indication of the lack of direction at Everton Football Club that their choice appeared to be Marcelo Bielsa or Sean Dyche at completely opposite ends of the footballing spectrum?
Yeah, absolutely spot on. It is lack of direction, lack of, I suppose, philosophy throughout the club, because when you look at, like you say, both managers, you've got Bielsa, who plays a completely different style of football to a Sean Dyche side. And I think when you looked at both of them, you looked at the Bielsa appointment, and very highly respected, highly regarded. The Leeds fans absolutely loved him, what he did. But you just thought if he'd have come into Everton, he would have needed a pre-season. He probably would have needed a few transfer windows to bring those players. Because you look at Everton's squad, they would have really struggled with Bielsa ball and playing that way. So I think the Sean Dyche appointment is a safer option. I think the fact that he knows some of the players, he's obviously worked in the Premier League, he knows how to, I suppose, get teams out of tricky situations, and Everton are clearly in tricky situation at the moment. How many times have we said Sean Dyche and Burnley has worked miracles on a limited budget? And you just feel he's just going to come in there and I suppose make them better organised, defensively stronger, and then he just needs to sort out how they're going to sort of start scoring more goals. But I just think the Sean Dyche appointment is the safer option. But yeah, it completely shows the lack of direction and the philosophy throughout the football club, and that has to change.
I mean, Merson, at the time that Sean Dyche was sacked at Burnley, there were 4 points below Everton in the league table. Would Everton fans have welcomed him then?
Not then, I don't think they would have. I think they will now. I think when you look at it now, the job he's got to do, he's got to keep them up. They're in a relegation battle. He plays a certain way. It don't take Einstein to play in it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like the players, you know, if Bielsa would have come in, I think they'd have been all over the place. I think they'd have been relegated in by the end of the month. With this man, he'll set them up. They'll be hard to beat. That's what they'll be, hard to beat. He's thick-skinned. He won't worry about what the fans do. He's proven, and he'll make it very easy for the players. Work hard, get into a shape, and make sure you give 100%. And you know what? That's what the Everton fans want. They don't want, all they want, them Everton fans, is to know that the people in the home end, all they want is to say, right, if I was playing, I would give my all. You know, they haven't got the skill and all that like these players have, but all they ask...
They're not being given their all. They're giving their all for Frank.
Well, the fans are chasing them down the road. If they were giving their all, and they're the judges, I don't watch Everton enough, but, you know, I only see them chasing them cars down the road for players that are not giving their all, surely. You know, them fans, they're clever fans, Everton, they're not silly. They're not silly. They've been around a long time. They turn up week in, week out. They see it with their own eyes, and that's all they ask. And they ain't chasing cars down the road if they're giving everything.
Is that, Clinton, is that pragmatic approach the correct one for Everton? I mean, I know that the situation is slightly different, but the fans didn't like it much under Big Sam, did they? Or Rafa Benitez, when they took that sort of approach.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but they need to stay in the Premier League. So you need to get someone who kind of sets up how Sean Dyche does at Burnley, because they're under huge pressure at the moment, Everton, to stay in the Premier League. And he's been there and done it with Burnley, with a squad probably not as good as the squad they've got at Everton now. And he'll just go back to 4-4-2 basic. So I think at this time, they can't moan about who comes through that door, because you're just talking to Sue there. From one spectrum, they talk about Bielsa, which is crazy, which is the Bielsa ball. Because if he comes in there, I don't think they stay up. We know he's a good manager, but I don't think he would have made them to stay up. I think with Sean Dyche, they've got a great opportunity. As we say, we'll go 4-4-2. Everyone, Mercy's spot on. They'll work hard. There'll be a togetherness, and he'll try his hardest. It's still going to be difficult, because you have to get confidence into that group of players. But Sean Dyche has been there before with Burnley, and I think it's a good appointment for now.
I mean, last season, Tim, after Burnley beat Everton, Sean Dyche said, Everton don't know how to win. Is that what he'll bring to the club?
Yeah, I mean, it's put your money where your mouth is now, isn't it, for Sean? You know, he's taken over. It's a big football club. We all know that. It's been underachieving for many, many years. I think Ancelotti said it was one of the easiest jobs he's ever had, you know, because the bar is not set very high. And the expectations aren't very high, which they should be for a huge club like Everton with that fan base. First and foremost, I think it's a good appointment. I think Dyche understands what the Everton fans want because he would have been there many, many times. They want to see exciting football. They obviously want to stay in the league first and foremost, but keep it nice and simple for them. Like Merson says, the fans are not stupid. They understand when people are giving their all and when they're not. And sometimes players can hide behind a system a little bit sophisticated for them, and they'll say, well, we wasn't suited to that. I think that when he's playing 4-4-2, everyone knows the job. You come off it and you know whether you played well or whether you're not. And I think he'd give them that level of honesty as well. Regarding some home truths, well, I think they need. They need shaking up, they need organising, but they need to find goals from somewhere. And it's up to the manager to find the right solution to be able to achieve that. I think they have the players to stay in the league. I really do. I think it's a great opportunity for him. It's a job what he's wanted. He wanted a big club, and he's got one now. And now's the time to show us what you got, Sean. I believe he's capable.
That's the thing. He has got a massive football club here. I mean, I know they're not winning stuff and all that, but this is a big football club. He's, something Tim said he wanted to manage. I think he's earned his stripes, and I think he's got given an unbelievable opportunity here. This is a great club.
Sorry, Jeff. I listen to Sean sometimes, and he talks about he can play a different way, but he hasn't had the personnel to be able to do it. Now's not the time to start changing. He knows that. He doesn't need me to tell him that. He needs to win. Whatever style that is, he needs to implement it as soon as possible.
I mean, people have touched on goal scorers. I mean, we're going to move on to the financial situation at Everton vis-à-vis Anthony Gordon in a moment. But Victor Gyökeres is being touted doors as moving in. He's got 29 in 72 for Coventry in the latest spell there. Had a little loan spell there before that. Could he be the answer?
Well, this is the kind of personnel that Everton are having to look for. And no disrespect to Gyökeres, he scored goals in the Championship. He's unproven in the Premier League and he's going into a relegation battle. But one thing for Sean Dyche is he will play a 4-4-2. We get the ball up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and he needs someone with him. They signed Morpay. I don't believe he was the answer for him to play with the way he is. He's got another Gyökeres, as you say, he's got 12 goals this season. He's unproven. But Dyche, for me, is the right man to take over. Frank hasn't won a game in 10. You look back to October, that was the last time Everton won a football match. And that is not good enough. You never want to see managers lose the jobs. But you look who they've lost to in recent weeks. Southampton, Wolves, West Ham. Teams that are fighting to stay in the Premier League. And that's what Everton are about. I look at Sean Dyche when he was linked with clubs at Burnley. Everton then probably looked and thought, we're taking a manager from Burnley to Everton. Everton is a different kind of club to what Burnley are. No disrespect to them. But now they are in a relegation battle and Sean Dyche knows how to deal with these and get the best out of the players. For me, he's the right man to galvanise the team, galvanise the club. They need some togetherness, not just for the dressing room, altogether, the fans, the ownership, everyone to try and look up this table.
Obviously, they're going to have some money to spend because they're selling Anthony Gordon. He's undergoing a medical this weekend at St James's Park. I mean, Sue, when I look at Anthony Gordon, good start to the season. Of course he did. 3 goals, no assists, 1 big chance created. If you look back to last season, 4 goals, 2 assists in the entire season. Is he an underachiever?
Yeah, I think you can say that. I think he had the breakthrough season where we looked and thought, wow, the potential is certainly there. I think this year he's very much struggled. I think the fact he's still a young man, I think he's still raw. You see him getting into good positions, his end product needs developing, needs improving. And I think from both parties, I think from an Everton perspective, it's a good deal. And I think Evertonians are hoping that Everton now reinvest that money in a striker, a creative player that can help Everton get goals. And I think from a Newcastle perspective, you just look at what Eddie Howe's done with some of the players at Newcastle where we've looked at and thought, are they Newcastle players? Are they even Premier League players? And yet he's made them into these fantastic performers. So he'll be looking at Anthony Gordon, looking at his potential and thinking, I can get the best out of him. But from an Everton perspective, he hasn't quite done it.
By the way, I should just mention Accrington got a goal back against Leeds. Leslie Adekoya was the man who got the goal, but they trailed by 3 goals to 1. Walsall actually just came closer a moment or two ago as well. But Clinton, the big question is, you don't question Eddie Howe at the moment because he's got pretty much nothing wrong. Where does Anthony Gordon get into that Newcastle team?
Yeah, we were just talking about it there. I don't know. I think it's great business for Everton. Superb business. I thought when Chelsea came in and were offering 60 million, I thought it would have been great business for Everton. And that's not knocking Anthony Gordon, because last season he had a spell for about 7-8 games where, he was outstanding, scoring goals, assisting, and he was really good, looking sharp. This season he hasn't hit those heights at all, hasn't scored enough goals, had enough assists. Yeah, he has picked up a few injuries, but listen, he's a talented young player. But I was surprised when Newcastle came in and they bid for 40 million, because you're right, Jeff, I don't know where he's going to play, because at the moment Joe Linton plays out there. He's been one of Newcastle's best players, and if Joe Linton comes in, sometimes Willett can go out there and do a job. You're looking at Alan St-Maximin, who can't get in at the moment, who is an exciting player. So they have, but maybe it's another option. And for them to push and try and stay in that Champions League, they needed to add to the squad. But I was surprised it was Gordon. I thought it'd be someone else. But you wish him well, because it's a great move and he's going to a huge football club.
I suppose when you look at the fact, Tim, that Chelsea were talking about £60 million not so very long ago. They could potentially have a bargain. Maybe that's the way they see it.
Yeah, Eddie certainly... I'm not sure he's interested in what he's done in the past, because he's done nothing really. I think he's obviously seeing potential in the boy and that he can improve him. He's going to help him out of possession, because he's very fit and quick. He gets to people. In possession, he's a little bit of a straight liner for me. He doesn't really, not a creator. He's a runner without the ball. He's full of energy. He's got an eye for a goal, as we see there, but not that many. He hasn't had a run of games. For me, there's better options out there. I think they need someone to unlock the door. I think James Maddison would have been a better option at 26 in November. He's still a young man, ready-made. He's going to open the door for you. And someone like Harvey Barnes, I think he would be a similar price as well. I'm not trying to sell all Brendan's players here, but I'm looking at proven, regular, consistent performers in the Premier League. And Anthony Gordon certainly isn't one of those. But hopefully for Eddie, he sees something in him and he's going to turn him into a superstar.
Well, it's the sort of club you would want to play for, wouldn't you? But having decided he wasn't going to go training during the course of this week, you have to look at April the 25th. That is Everton versus Newcastle. Boy, will that be hostile for Anthony Gordon if he is in the Newcastle side by then.